Alright, so there are three parts to cellular respiration. It's glycolysis, the Krebs cycle, and the electron transport chain. In glycolysis, it is essentially splitting glucose, and it occurs in the systole of the cells. No oxygen is required, and you end up with two molecules of pyruvate, 3 carbon molecules. So you also end up with a net gain of 2 ATP per glucose and 2 NAD, which are converted to NADHD when the hydrogen is put onto them. And these are later cashed in for the electron transport chain. Okay, in the link reaction, pyruvate diffuses into the mitochondria, and it's going to be decarboxylated, and this is done with coenzyme A, and acetylcholine is produced and can enter the Krebs cycle. CO2 is produced and transported out of the cell, and then more NADH is produced to be used in the electron transport chain later. In the Krebs cycle, it happens in the matrix, and acetylcholine combines with oxaloacetate, making citric acid. This molecule essentially continues to be oxidized and decarboxylated. So it starts, loses 2 CO2, turning. Okay. The products of the Krebs cycle are ATP, FADH, and FAD. ATP, 2 ATP per glucose. You get NAD and FADH2, and then you get CO2. And then for the electron transport chain, you have the 2 NADPHs ready for the electron transport chain. They hold the hydrogens, and if you notice there's an excess of hydrogens, well, that's because the excited electrons pump through the hydrogen pumps and send out the hydrogen molecules. And here you see how the excited electrons move through and pump hydrogen out, creating a concentrating gradient. It basically just opens up the channels. And those electrons are brought over here. So you have your ADP, and it basically latches onto ATP synthase, and a hydrogen is pumped through, and using that you can add phosphorus to the ADP, making it into ATP, and then you create ATP, and this just happens over and over. And at this last part you get around 34 ATP made, so it's one of the most essential parts. And what's left is you have some hydrogen and an oxygen from a free oxygen from the thing, and you use the electrons to create water, and that's also one of the waste products. So you have ATP and water created at the end of this.